and the blockade and the airlift, not the wall, but the blockade and the airlift. We looked at Truman Doctrine, we looked at the Marshall Plan, we looked at Comecon, we looked at Cominform, and I said this lesson, or this session, we would talk very specifically about NATO and the Warsaw Pact, and on from that we'd talk about Hungary, we'd talk about Poland in 1956. So really, what I'm talking about now is the shift away from Stalin as leader of the USSR to Khrushchev being leader of the USSR. And that's the real change I want you to think about in the course of this. Anyway, NATO, right? 1949. The West had obviously been shaken up, to put it politely, by the actions of Stalin in Berlin. So, what do? The answer, collective security. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaties Organization. All the Western countries pretty much agree to join together in one organisation to stand up to any country that acts aggressively towards any one of them. Collective security, Three Musketeers, all for one, one for all that kind of business, right? And they say, and what the issue that particularly worried them, like I said, it's East Germany. That East Germany is now part of the Soviet Empire. The Red Army's there, and very much the lines are drawn. Remember Churchill talking about the Iron Curtain. Now, NATO is a military alliance that they can actually have an army together from all the member states. Obviously, the USSR sees this as being very, very aggressive. And in 1953, West Germany gets invited to join NATO, at which point the USSR thinks, oh my God, they're going to invade us again. World War I, they invaded us. World War II, they invaded us. Now, West Germany, in a military alliance, they're a threat to us again. So, what do? Well, it's Khrushchev really, but Stalin had laid the groundwork with Eastern Europe. It's Stalin who lays the groundwork. Khrushchev turns it into the Warsaw Pact. Now, you're looking at countries like Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Bulgaria. Not Yugoslavia, not Albania, they're just kind of weirdos on the edge. So they don't join, but the rest do. And Stalin and Khrushchev and any Soviet leader in the future tells them what to do, when to do it, what to grow, where to grow it. This is central planning from Moscow. Moscow through Cominform, Moscow through Comecon, they direct the Warsaw Pact. So, obviously these countries are not particularly happy with the way that Russia dominates them. And by 1956, Poland have a few strikes. They get a few kind of jitters about the Warsaw Pact, because Khrushchev's come into power and he's made this secret speech which has been misinterpreted in Poland, in Hungary. They think, oh, this guy's going to be reasonable, this guy's being nice, this guy's not being like Stalin, this guy's not a real kind of naughty man. They think he's going to be all right. So, after the secret speech, they negotiate a better deal. Polish workers go on strike. And it's responded. Khrushchev is a negotiator. He understands them, he talks to them, and he makes things a little bit better. New Polish leader Gomulka, he comes in and says to Khrushchev, look, we can work together, Russia can be okay, Poland can be better, and we'll all get on. He inspires Hungary, right? Hungary think, well, if Poland can do it, so can we. We're going to stand up to the USSR in a bit more aggressive way, and maybe we'll get a bit more than Gomulka got. But Khrushchev, of course, he does not want to appear weak. He cannot afford to appear weak. He has got to stand up and make those bosses in the USSR, the military bosses, the political bosses, the communist bosses, respect him as a leader. Khrushchev is strong. Hungary, new leader, Nagy, right? Nagy says, free elections, democracy, get to church, stop taking our meat, stop taking our crops, stop transferring our language, our culture, give us respect, we're Hungarians. Of course the Russians don't do that. And Nagy even threatens to take Hungary out of the Warsaw Pact, hoping for help from NATO, from the US. No chance. The US don't want to mix it in a country like Hungary. What's it worth? It's a country that's just as bad as Poland, about as bad as Romania. It's a happy country in the east. So they don't do anything. Consequently, Red Army, they pull out of Hungary, and Nagy and the Hungarians dancing in the streets, right? They're happy, really delighted. Only for a few days later, the Red Army, under Khrushchev's command, they re-invade, street fighting, massacres, political prisoners, secret police, all the classic stuff that the Russians do enforced on Budapest. Poor old Nagy is executed, one of thousands who die in this retaking over of Hungary. And Nagy and many, many more countries around it realise in 1956 that the Russians are not to be messed with, that they are not to be taken advantage of, that they will not stand being messed around with, that Khrushchev has got to appear tough. And in 1956 in Hungary, he does. Poland gets concessions, Hungary gets bullets. Cheers. What are we up to?
Superpower Relations, Lesson 4, welcome back. I knew you couldn't stay away. So, you're thinking, what happens next? Well, I can tell you what happens next. We're going to do today, Berlin Wall, Cuban Missile Crisis. Every year on the exams, never fails. Well, except this year probably. But anyway, it should be on. Spying has always gone on between the superpowers. And in 1960, to massive American embarrassment,